name is Neftali. I'm the pre-enrollment advisor here at Cal State Fullerton, the School of Nursing. Today, we are going to talk about almost just about everything School of Nursing related. The goal with this presentation is for you to have a better understanding as to what to expect as an applicant, the different pathways that we offer here at Cal State Fullerton. And then we will have some time in the end for questions. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, take some notes. I will say I will be covering information for our first year students, and then also for our transfer students. So not everything might apply to you. That's perfectly okay. I promise I'll get to you and your population this evening. So thank you so much for being here. A little bit about us here at Cal State Fullerton. This is our advising team. So our goal here is to make sure that you have a point of contact throughout your entire time here at Cal State Fullerton. I am your initial point of contact. Again, my name is Neftali. I'm the pre-enrollment advisor. My goal and my role here is to help you throughout this application process as you're undergoing your researching, if you have any questions. So I primarily work with students that are looking to apply to one of our programs. Once you are undergoing the review process, and then also once you're a student, then you have the opportunity to work with my colleagues here. Michelle, who is our pre-licensure advisor. Ashley works with our RN to BSN students, and looking forward a few years from now, Rachel's actually our graduate advisor. So if any of you are interested in any of our master's or doctoral programs, she would be your point of contact. So I'm already thinking ahead. Hopefully you'll be with us for all 3 degrees. But in the meantime, feel free to email me. That's my email, nursing@fullerton.edu. I know it sounds a bit generic, but I do assure you, I actually check that email throughout the day, every day. Our goal is to respond back within a 24 to 48-hour period. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, just depending on the time of year, but we do try to respond back to every email in a timely manner. So, a little bit about our pathways here at Cal State Fullerton. We offer 4 different pathways or ways for students to obtain their Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So our first 3 options here are our pre-licensure options. Essentially, that means you don't have a nursing license. You are looking to gain your nursing education so that you're able to sit for the licensing exam, which is called the NCLEX. And so you can pass it and become a registered nurse here in California. This last option is our RN to BSN option. That's for students that do have their RN to BSN license. They typically complete a registered nursing program through a community college and then are able to sit for the licensing exam. They come to us to finish their bachelor's degree. As you can see, these first 3 tracks do have that orange asterisk. That does mean that they are impacted. So that's another way of saying that we do get more applicants than we have available seats for. So it can be a challenging process. However, it's not impossible. And so again, the goal with this presentation is to give you some more information as to how to go about applying so that hopefully you can join us for one of our pre-licensure tracks. And then if not, we'll talk about all the other ways that you can pursue a nursing degree as well. Okay. Here's a little summary again about the pre-licensure versus post-licensure. Again, pre-licensure is for students that don't have any prior nursing experience or education and are interested in obtaining their registered nurse license. So in this category, we have our traditional BSN pathway, or what's also called our direct entry program. That's specifically for our students coming directly from high school. We do have our upper division transfer pathway or our UDT BSN, which is for our transfer students that started off at a community college or at a different 4-year institution, maybe as a pre-nursing student or studying a different major. And then now you're looking forward to applying to us and pursuing the rest of your bachelor's degree. We do have the accelerated BSN pathway too. That's for our students that have a bachelor's degree or higher in a different field and are interested in switching careers and starting to pursue their nursing education. And then lastly, we don't offer it here at Cal State Fullerton, but it is the associate degree in nursing. We do work with a lot of community colleges in the Orange County area and throughout that offer the program. And those students complete their program and then transfer to us to complete their Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. That post-licensure option, that's for students that already have their registered nursing license and are looking to advance their career. So this could be our RN to BSN program. Again, you have to first complete the associate degree program at a community college, specifically in registered nursing, and then also our graduate program. So for those of you that are looking to maybe become a nurse practitioner or advance into nursing leadership. We do offer those programs here. That's through our Master of Science in Nursing and then our Doctor of Nursing Practice. Okay, so our traditional BSN, as mentioned, is specifically for our high school students looking to looking to come to Cal State Fullerton to begin their nursing education. So for this particular program, you do, of course, have to stay in school and graduate. You do have to have your A through G courses completed. We don't require any standardized tests, so no SAT, no ACT. You do have to have your Cal State Apply application submitted. And then within that, we do require 2 letters of recommendation. And if invited, you'll actually, or if selected, there is a second phase to that review process where then you would submit your statement of purpose and then also provide and complete the virtual interview. For this pathway, we do only admit 40 students. I don't say this to scare you, but more to be transparent and help you understand what the process is going to look like. We do obtain about 2,000 qualified applications, so it is a very challenging process for us. But just because it's challenging doesn't mean, again, it's impossible. With those 40 students, we are extremely focused and dedicated to them. We are fully invested in their success, whatever that looks like for them. One, they do have to meet these requirements once they're admitted. So, of course, finish their prerequisites within their first year, uh, maintain a GPA of a 3.0 or higher, of course, and then complete their general education courses and their nursing courses as well. So this is a cohort-based program. It's 40 students going through the general education or some of the general education together, some of it with the overall university population. Definitely going through those prerequisites together. And then once they get started with their nursing classes, going through those classes together as well. So you do have the opportunity to truly bond with the rest of your cohort. And it is a very unique opportunity because not a lot of students get to go to clinicals and be at hospitals at 6 a.m. So it really brings everyone together. We do have a transfer pathway, and as mentioned, our accelerated BSN pathway. So we've kind of grouped these together, at least for the presentation, because the admission requirements are somewhat similar, and the review process is also similar. So for these programs, you do need to have prerequisite classes completed, and we'll talk about them here in a second. For our transfer students, you do need to qualify to transfer to Cal State Fullerton, having your 60 transferable units, your Golden 4 completed as well. For our students pursuing the accelerated BSN, you do have to have a bachelor's degree completed. And then both groups do need to have a Cal State Apply application on file and submit your official transcripts by our School of Nursing deadline. So something that I will note for our transfer students and our accelerated BSN students is that sometimes the deadline that is showing on your applicant portal is going to differ from what is listed on our website. And that's because what's on your applicant portal is for the general university population. Because we have a second review process, you want to make sure to adhere to the deadlines that are on our website so that you can be still considered, make sure that your documents are in on time, and then we can move forward with reviewing your application for admission. Typically, that transcript deadline for us is January 31st of each year. If anything changes, our main form of communication is always our website, so we do update that throughout the year and especially over the summer as we prepare for the next application cycle. So for our transfer students and our accelerated BSN students, this is a list of classes that you'll have to complete for us. So of course we require anatomy, physiology, microbiology with lab. For these classes, we actually accept in-person or online lectures and labs as long as it's a minimum of 3 units of lecture and then a minimum of 1 unit of lab. You do need to have an approved chemistry course completed. And chemistry is a bit flexible. So it can be anything in general chemistry, inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry. We've seen chemistry for allied health as well. Integrated chemistry. So there is some flexibility there. And we'll actually go have some time and review our website so you can see a bit of a closer look as to what other chemistry classes we can accept. As mentioned, you do need to have your Cal State Golden 4 completed. So that will include your oral communication, your written composition, critical thinking, and then a college level math, which oftentimes tends to be statistics, but make sure that does satisfy the B4 requirement. So talk with your counselors at your current institutions to make sure that the statistics class can satisfy both requirements. We don't have a recency requirement as other programs might. So we will review your prerequisite classes regardless of how long ago they were completed. And we take what's called the first passing attempt. So I think that's the next slide. Actually, let me back up. So the first passing attempt for our science classes, so that's anatomy, physiology, microbiology, and chemistry, is a B- or higher. That's the grade that you need to have completed to be considered passing. And then for our non-sciences in statistics, you do need to have a C or higher to be considered passing. When it comes to repeats, you can only repeat the sciences, and in this category, we're talking about anatomy, physiology, and microbiology, all with lab. You can only repeat one of those one time. So just to give you an example, I'm starting off, I'm taking anatomy. I don't do so well the first time around, I get a C. So I have to retake it. Fortunately, that second time I get a B-, fantastic. So now I'm back on track to being considered for admission to Cal State Fullerton, either through the transfer pathway or through the accelerated BSN, depending on my background. And in order to stay on track, I have to pass physiology and microbiology, both with lab, with a B- or higher on those first attempts. If either one of those classes has to be repeated, then unfortunately I'm no longer eligible for admission consideration, and that's because we don't have that recency requirement. Chemistry isn't part of that repeat policy, so you could retake chemistry or an approved chemistry course as many times as needed to obtain the B- or higher. And then also your Cal State Golden 4 and statistics. Those can be taken again as many times as needed for you to have that first passing attempt of C or higher. And I'm pretty sure we'll talk about this a little bit more in the next couple of slides, but I do like to give those examples just so folks can understand our repeat policy a little bit better. And then for those pathways, we do have these additional classes that we do recommend be completed before applying. They're not necessarily prerequisites for us, but more graduation requirements. And you could be admitted to the program without them, but then you'd have to complete them during that first semester of nursing school, which is already pretty um, challenging in a full load at 18 units for both of these pathways. So that's Introduction to Psychology, and then either Introduction to Sociology or Cultural Anthropology. So for these classes, we are looking for the very generic introductory beginner course for both of these categories. So general psychology, principles of psychology, fundamentals, nothing that's topic specific, nothing that is um, upper division. For some of the other programs you might have to take, for example, lifespan psychology, so that might mean you take multiple psychology classes so that you're able to apply to multiple programs. And then there's a lot more information to cover, and we're actually going to take some time here to review our website, and we'll break it down for each population. But I do like to share this page because, one, our School of Nursing website is extremely informative. I've gotten that feedback from many students saying our website is probably one of the most detailed ones they have the opportunity to interact with. So with that said, sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. So take some time. Don't try to do it all in one sitting, and divide our website into sections. Today we're going to look at admission requirements. Tomorrow we're going to look at the curriculum. We do have on our website specifically for all of our pathways, but specifically also for our transfer and accelerated BSN pathway, our selection process and our point system. So we'll take some time to review that as well. I do like to share Discover Nursing by Johnson and Johnson because it is a really good website that talks a lot about just the nursing profession. It has a list of all the nursing specialties, and then also great resources for scholarships and nursing scholarships specifically. And then lastly, we do like to share the Board of Registered Nursing website as well, because one, it has a list of all the approved nursing programs in the state. You can Google this, California BRN approved nursing programs. It tends to be the first or second link on the results page. And I like to share that because it helps you with your research. There are so many schools out there. And the majority of them are impacted. So you want to make sure to create a list of schools that have some variety. Maybe schools that are, if you're a high school student, plan A, go into direct entry programs. Plan B might be going into pre-nursing programs, or perhaps starting off at a community college under a pre-nursing track. And then for our transfer students, you want to make sure to have a combination of maybe associate degree in nursing programs plus transfer options as well. So that way you can really expand and really increase, hopefully, your likelihood of getting into nursing school, sooner rather than later. As you're doing your research, as you look at the Board of Registered Nursing page, I always recommend looking at the location first. On that page, we'll see it here in a second, is also the tuition cost. Although I know that is important, I would say look at that last, right? Because one, I truly don't know the last time that was updated. And then two, there are a lot of opportunities to offset that cost. So first, start off with location. Where do you live? How far do you want to travel? Can you relocate? Is that a possibility for you? That list includes private and public schools. Um, and then it divides it by section, by the associate's degrees, the bachelor's degrees, uh, and then also what's called an entry-level master's program, which can be an option for our accelerated BSN students. And then also looking at the NCLEX pass rates. So you can go to any program in the state, any nursing program, whether it's an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, and obtain the degree. But if once you sit down for the licensing exam and attempt to take it, if you cannot pass that exam, then you cannot become a registered nurse in practice in California, right? So it is very important that wherever you're going, you are being prepared to pass this exam on the first attempt. Luckily for us, that's exactly what we're doing here. The last group of our students to take the licensing exam, the latest pass rate for us is a 98.4. Every now and then we do have a student or two that does have to retake the exam. So we do follow up with them. We try to connect and say, what happened? How can we assist you? Because our main goal is for you to be able to pass your licensing exam and become a safe practitioner. So again, going back to that comment of how truly invested we are in you, the 40 students that we bring into our cohort through some of these pathways are the same 40 students that we want to come out and pass. And so it is very important that wherever you are going, you are being trained and prepared for the licensing exam. What we do here at Cal State Fullerton, not only do you have example or exam prep during that last semester, but you also essentially do it throughout your entire time here because we've actually modified our curriculum to reflect our exams to reflect the NCLEX. So rather than having multiple choice style questions, we are having NCLEX style questions. So for those of you that aren't familiar, the NCLEX is essentially those questions are more about trying to figure out what is the best answer right now. So it's a lot of scenarios, giving you some patient history, the symptoms that they are experiencing right now or how they present, and then the answer choices sometimes might be, what would you do next? What's the next step here? Or which is the most correct option, right? So it's kind of like saying, what color is the sky? And then your options being what's blue. When it's raining, it's gray. At 6 o'clock, it's orange, right? And so you trying to figure out, okay, in this current situation, what color is the sky? So our students tend to have about 3 years of NCLEX prep, and that's our way to assist not only with getting them licensed, but also with reducing that test anxiety. It's there's a lot that goes on, and so if we can reduce that anxiety, it's definitely something that we'll try to work on early on. So feel free to take a screenshot of this, and we'll talk about our different resources here in a little bit. Let me go ahead and show you our website, and then I'll take some time for questions. So thank you all so much. Give me 1 second while I switch out my screens here. All right. And then can we all see the School of Nursing page here? Can I get a thumbs up or any comments? Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. So our School of Nursing page, as mentioned, does have everything you need to know. Everything we just talked about is actually comes from our website. Everything you specifically need to know is under programs and prospective students. And then here's the information for all of our different pathways. So I will take a second actually to do a little plug. I do have additional information sessions for our transfer students. So for those of you interested in our upper division transfer pathway and then our accelerated BSN pathway, I do have information sessions coming up next month. And then if any of you happen to be in your ADN program at a community college, I do have more RN to BSN presentations coming up as well. And then I'm sure Vince will talk about it, but I'll go ahead and plug that in too. Of course, you're here today for our presentation, but also Saturday, this is open to everybody, is Fall in Love with Fullerton Day. You'll have the opportunity to come to campus, not only speak with our nursing advisors, but also talk to individuals from the different offices and connect with campus. And so if you don't have Saturday plans, go ahead and register, and that way you're booked. But here is our BSN programs and all the different tracks that we offer, as mentioned. So I will take a second to talk about a little bit about our traditional BSN program. Again, this is specifically for our high school students looking to transfer, or sorry, looking to start at Cal State Fullerton to take their nursing education. The curriculum here, we've seen a lot of students that um, take college courses, right? You come in with a lot of college credit, which is fantastic. I applaud you. I was the same way when I was in school. And so that college credit, I'll go ahead and say, can transfer on over and waive some of the requirements, typically some of the GEs. But essentially, this is still a 4-year program because it is a cohort-based program. So specifically, like our nursing classes, they're only offered during that time of the year. So as you're making your list of places to consider, if that's very important for you to be able to finish your bachelor's degree in a shorter amount of time, then potentially looking at some additional options. However, if you're perfectly okay with that 4-year option still, please consider applying. And just note that even though you are still going to be here 4 years, your time might look a little bit different with all that AP credit that transfers on over. It opens up your schedule some, and so you have some more flexibility to maybe do other things like study abroad or pursue a minor or pursue a double major or even just get involved with campus community, maybe join Greek life, right? So there's a lot of different things that can be done with that added flexibility. But our traditional BSN pathway does have the option of a 4 or 5-year track. The curriculum is the same. The only difference is how quickly you are completing your prerequisite classes. Personally, I know a lot of us have that idea or mindset of coming into college and finishing a degree in 4 years. Again, that's fantastic if that is your plan. That was my plan when I was in college too. However, life happened, and so it took me a little bit longer, and that's okay. Sometimes, things happen, we understand, so we do work with our students because, again, the 40 that come into this particular track are the 40 that we want to graduate and then also pass the licensing exam and become professionals. That 5-year track, again, provides some more flexibility, so that opportunity to join Greek life, join other campus organizations, study abroad, pursue uh, a minor or a second major. So there's a lot of things that can happen, and it's a great conversation to have with our academic advisor if you are admitted and decide to come to Cal State Fullerton. Let's see. Again, take some time to review the selection process and all the different criteria for each pathway. Something else to note is when you apply through the traditional BSN pathway, you'll have the option of selecting a primary major and then a secondary major. If you're interested in nursing, that should absolutely be your primary major. That way we can review your application and consider you. And then your secondary major could be anything, anything that you're interested in. Students that are interested in nursing tend to stay within the health professions area of kinesiology or health or public health, sometimes even psychology too. But, if you're interested in working with children, maybe child and adolescent studies is a good option for you. If you really like art, art can be your second major as well, or your alternate major. I will say, usually how the process goes is we review everybody that listed nursing as their primary major. For those students that aren't admitted, you're still a great student. So the Office of Admissions is going to automatically review your application for your alternate major. And if you meet that criteria, then it's possible for you to be admitted to Cal State Fullerton under your alternate major. I just want everybody to note, if you come to Cal State Fullerton as a non-nursing major, you cannot switch your major to nursing. So I'm going to say that again because it tends to happen a lot. If you come to Cal State Fullerton as a non-nursing major, then you cannot switch your major to nursing. You can still come to Cal State Fullerton. We'd still love to have you under that alternate major. But if you are interested in nursing, we'll have to have some conversations about what your track looks like now. And I'm happy to help with that part of the process. So going back to our traditional BSN, we do look at your grade trends, so everything that's happened throughout high school. You do need to submit 2 letters of so you need to provide contact information for 2 recommenders. They will submit 2 letters of recommendation. Just note that the deadline is after the application closes, so that is December 6th. Typically what happens is once you provide the contact information, Cal State Applied sends them an email saying, hi, you've been selected or listed as a recommender. These are the steps that you need to follow. Make sure that those steps are followed, and continue to check with your recommenders to make sure that your letters of recommendation are submitted by December 6th. Oftentimes we've worked with students that, these recommenders are people too, so life happens to them, and sometimes they're not able to meet that letter of recommendation deadline. And unfortunately, because of the impacted status of this pathway and all of our pathways, we do have to be very strict with those requirements and those deadlines. So don't be afraid to follow up with them, I think is what I'm trying to say in that sense. If after that initial review, if you get invited to interview, you'll get that information as well. And then that's where you'll provide your statement of purpose essay. The prompt will be available to you. We'll give you all the information that you need to complete that, and then also provide your interview. Take a look at our timeline for this pathway as well. Between December 3rd and late February, early March, you're not going to hear from us because we will be reviewing. Typically, all of our admission decisions go out, or the interviews go out in March. And then we do provide final decisions around April. And it's at least the timeline is a little bit similar for our upper division transfer students and our accelerated BSN students. But I will take some time to review that as well. If this loads. There we go. So take some time to review everything here on the left-hand side. A little bit about the curriculum for this pathway. It is still a full-time in-person cohort-based program. So our transfer students do take about 3 years to complete their program. It's 3 fall terms, 3 spring terms, no summers in between. And then because it is a cohort-based program, the order that you see here is the order that you'll be taking your classes. And then sometimes you might have to complete 2 additional upper division general education classes. If that is the case, that'll be confirmed by the academic advisor, and you'll be able to plan that out as to when you'll complete that. I do like to highlight our prerequisite courses page. It is essentially everything that I talked about in the presentation, so please take some time to review it. Here you have in bold our repeat rule, our grade requirements, and then the prerequisite requirements as well. We do provide kind of a course description and sample course descriptions for all of them. You can scroll down and utilize assist if you need to check whether your classes will be eligible to transfer for us. Please work with your counselor to confirm where or which class satisfy our requirements. And so if you can't, for whatever reason, find the science classes, we do also have this form to complete. Oh no. Okay. Um, um, Okay, that's still loading. But here at the bottom, we have this blue button that'll show a form where you can input the course information, where you completed it, when it was completed. And so we get that email. We're able to review the class itself, and then I'll let you know whether or not it'll satisfy our requirement. And then lastly, I do like to point out our selection process. So we are based on a point system. So we do provide the criteria. So once the application period closes for our upper division transfer students or for our accelerated BSN students, we conduct an initial review based on this criteria right here. So here are the different categories: your prerequisite GPA, cumulative GPA, proficiency in a second language, any work or volunteer experience, the additional coursework, residency, and then any additional points for military affiliation. And here you can see the range. So a lot of students ask me, what's the point cutoff? How many points do I need to get an interview? And I truly do not know the answer to that because it varies annually. So the last thing we want to do is provide any sort of false hope and say, oh, well, 65 points got students an interview last time. Well, that may not necessarily be the case this time around. So the best advice that we can give is try to maximize the amount of points that you earn in each category. So here you can see the range, and students like to calculate it themselves. That way they can identify any areas of improvement. So here's the range for our cumulative GPA. And when we say cumulative, we mean every college level class you've taken at a community college, at a four-year school. For students in the accelerated BSN pool, if you did anything that's graduate level, that'll also be included. So again, cumulative meaning everything. The prerequisite GPA, that'll specifically consist of these classes. So your Cal State Golden 4, the oral communication, written composition, critical thinking, statistics, anatomy, physiology, and microbiology with lab. Work or volunteer experience, it's one or the other for this section. If you do try to obtain points through work experience, just note that we'll only award points if you submit a copy of any one of these licenses. And you don't have to have worked a certain amount of time with these licenses. Essentially, all we need is for you to provide a copy of it with your application. If you don't have a professional license yet, don't stress about it. I do typically recommend volunteering. I find that to be a bit more accessible. And so you can volunteer just about anywhere as long as you are being supervised by a nurse or a doctor, or you're completing your volunteer work at a hospital, a skilled nursing facility, or a hospice facility. And for volunteering, we are looking for you to complete more patient care related tasks. So obviously you're not going to be administering vaccines or medicine or treatment of any sort. But you might be transporting patients. I've seen students that work at like the NICU and are able to like feed patients, right? So anything along those lines, we're definitely looking for more patient interaction rather than administrative tasks. And then if you do complete volunteer hours or want to submit for volunteer hours, there is this form that has to be completed that is completed by your supervisor stating who you are, what you did, when you volunteered, during what time frame, how many hours you completed, and then what all you did. And so that volunteer form gets provided back to you and you upload it to your application. Um, Proficiency in a second language for our transfer and our accelerated BSN students is self-reported. There's a question on the application. Of course, don't um, falsify it. If needed, we are able to follow up and ask for any additional documentation, but no additional documentation is initially required. Residency, because our transfer and our accelerated BSN pathways are also impacted. We do prioritize all California residents. However, our residents in Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties do get an additional consideration. And then here's where the completion of the additional classes come in. So remember I talked about psychology and sociology or cultural anthropology. So if you have at least one of them completed or in progress, you do get some additional points. You maximize your points by having both in progress or completed as well. And so what will happen is we tally up everyone's points. We take about the top 1 to 200 students at that point and invite them to interview. That virtual interview is asynchronous, so we provide you with the information to complete that through our third-party system, and then you get the flexibility. You have a specific time frame to complete that interview in, and it's one of those interviews where it reads you the question and then you record the answer, so it gives our faculty the opportunity to review it at a time that's convenient for them, and then also it gives multiple faculty the opportunity to review your answers. And so based on your interview score, your essay score, our faculty then provide us with their recommendations for admission. And then a similar timeline for those students as well. This is both for our upper division transfer students and our accelerated BSN students. So, and around the same time, we're kind of reviewing everybody. So from December 3rd to about late February, it's okay if you don't hear from us. Just make sure to have all of your documents in on time. Our transfer and accelerated BSN transcript deadline is January 31st. So make sure to have your documents into the Office of Admissions by then. And when we say official documents, we mean transcripts from all the institutions that you've attended, as well as any AP or IB scores. I know this one's a sensitive topic for some folks because for some, those scores might be archived. I will go ahead and say after this session, go ahead and contact College Board because those would be required. And so we are needing you to have them into the Office of Admissions by that time. And it is about 6:46, so I did want to leave time for questions. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. That way we can have some time to look at everybody and answer some questions. So I think the best way to approach this, let's see. Okay. Honestly, if you want to raise your hand on Zoom, I'll take questions out loud. I think that might be the best way to go about this. Yeah, go ahead. Let me catch a quick drink of water and then we'll get started. All right, I saw Kathy first. Kathy, yeah, go ahead.
I was just curious, when you said you take 40 students in the traditional BSN, so
Correct.
what if you're a transfer? Is there a separate amount of people you accept as transfer students, or is that all bundled into one? It's just 40 period, no matter what.
No, good question. Thank you for allowing me to clarify that. So we do have different we admit different quantities for different populations. So for our traditional BSN, so that's our high school students, it is the 40. For our transfer students through the upper division transfer pathway, it's about 10 to 15, depending on just how many seats are available. And then for our accelerated BSN students, it's another 40.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I'll just go down the line here. Daniel?
Hi, good evening. So I do have a couple questions. It's
Sure.
not So on the assist, it does say that under area A3, CSUGE area A3, critical thinking, it says English 101, 103, and philosophy 008. Am I
Okay.
required to take 103 and philosophy 008 or just
No.
English too?
Yeah, good question. So on assist, it should list or in between all of those classes, at least with the latest update. If it doesn't, um, it's essentially just one class out of those out of that group of classes, but always make sure to double check with your counselor, specifically or especially actually with the Cal State Golden Four. So we're not able to review that within the School of Nursing, so we always outsource that out or refer you back to your counselors, just to make sure that you're taking the correct classes for those categories.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Another
Mm-hmm.
question is, so I do run a group home and it's my mom is the administrator. Can she verify my hours or is that not allowed?
Ideally, not a family member, for verifying hours or for like your letters of recommendation. So if we're able to work under the supervision of somebody else, that would be recommended.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
of course. Thank you. Ryan. Ryan Leong? My apologies for that mispronunciation. Okay, we'll
Uh,
come back to, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
oh, hello. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
my mic. Yeah, I also had a couple questions,
Sure.
and my first question was like, if for example, like one of my sciences, I
Mm-hmm.
ended up getting like below, because I believe you said B minus was the required. If we got like a C, for example, like a C plus, like
Mm-hmm.
would we not be able to like would there be any would it be worth it to even apply?
Ah, good question. Um, so to be to be considered for admission, you do need to meet all of the admission requirements because our pathway is impacted, or all of our pathways are impacted. We are very strict with upholding those requirements. So, um, if you don't meet the grade requirement, we would recommend taking some time to retake the class if you haven't exceeded the repeat policy. That way we can fully review your application and fully consider you for admission. Otherwise, once we do see that, um, once we finalize the initial review and there's no repeated class or the class that you have doesn't meet our grade requirement, then we're no longer able to continue reviewing your application. So definitely up to you to consider how to move forward, but our recommendation would be to take some time if you haven't exceeded the repeat policy to retake the class.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Taryn?
Hello?
Yes,
Hi. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify, you said 10 to 15 people from the upper division transfer would be accepted into the program, right?
correct.
Awesome. And then the process after being accepted, if someone were to get accepted, what else does Fullerton need from us? Like, are there going to be extra documentation that we need to provide before the start date, or do we have a lot of time to get it done?
Yeah, of course, that's a good question. So yes, you won't be starting off like a clinical site just yet. You'll actually be working, in our simulation lab as a transfer student first. We have to make sure you're equipped and safe enough,
Right.
essentially, to visit the sites. So, but yes, at orientation, our academic advisor is actually going to lead that, and not only talk to you about the curriculum, but we then also have guest speakers, or specifically our clinical placement director that comes in to talk
Mhm.
to you about the documents that you need, what those deadlines are. So when it comes to your rotations, we actually have an entire clinical placement team that kind of leads that process. Your
Got,
role in that is to make sure that your documents are
got
in
it.
on time.
Start till summer, right? After the orientation, we get all that info.
Correct.
Got it.
Yes. So don't worry, we've got
Mhm.
you on that end.
Okay, thank you. And are there any
Yeah.
rec that are needed for the upper division transfer?
I'm sorry, you cut off a little bit. What was that question?
Are there any letters of recommendation that are needed for the upper division transfer?
Yeah, good question. We don't require letters of recommendation for the upper division transfer pathway or for the accelerated BSN pathway. We also don't require the T's exam. And then what's another common question that I get asked?
Maybe the HESI.
We also don't require that. So I think I've covered the those things, but yes. So no letters of rec, no T's, no HESI.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Kiara?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm applying for the traditional BCN
Okay.
for this year, and my question is, who are your clinical partners?
Yeah, good question. Let me actually here share the screen with you so you can find it on our website. But essentially we do partner with just about everybody within a 50-mile radius of Cal State Fullerton. So we partner with our major area hospitals, such as Children's Hospital Los Angeles, Children's Hospital Orange County, Anaheim Regional Center, Kaiser, UCI, a lot of the Orange Coast Memorial campuses. We also do partner with the public health county offices in Orange, LA, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. So this list here is just a few of the partners that we send our students out to for clinical rotations, but almost just about anybody within a 50-mile radius of Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, okay, thank you. Also, one more question.
Sure.
Do you guys offer any like career services or student nursing internships
Oh yeah.
for students?
Yeah, good question. So this applies to everybody. So as far as student resources go, we do have, of course, you have access to all the university resources, but then we also have specific resources for our nursing students. So for example, we have a student nursing association. We also have subgroups. So for example, our Black Nursing Student Association, I think we have an Asian and Pacific Islander student association as well, and then a Men in Nursing association. We have a specific writing tutor that works with our students to make sure that your APA formatting is in order, making sure that your syntax and grammar are in order. Great resources to utilize while you're here. We also do have a specific librarian. At the library that assists our students with researching and any other library needs that might relate to your assignments. So a lot of our students utilize them as well. And then to answer your question about career services, yes, we also have a specific career coach that works with our nursing students, helps you with your resume, your interview prep. And then lastly, we have what's called a nurse coach. So that transition from the current institution that you're at to Cal State Fullerton and our nursing program can sometimes be challenging, and then just navigating nursing school altogether. So we do have a specific nursing coach to assist our students with trying to figure out good tactics to utilize throughout the academic year. And then also our faculty are very attentive, and so they do always reach out to us if they do identify a student that might be in need of additional assistance. So we'll get those emails saying, hey, I think this one individual could use some additional assistance. Could you follow up with them? Or they'll do that themselves, right? Talk to you one-on-one. And so again, because we admit such a limited amount of students, we are fully invested in each group. And so we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that you're being a successful student, whatever that looks like for you.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Livia?
Hi. So my question is more about the statement of purpose essay. Do we
Sure.
only start writing it after we get accepted?
So you'll write the statement of purpose if you get invited to interview. We've actually relocated that to the second phase of the review process. So if you are invited to interview, you'll do the interview, but then also we'll include information on the statement of purpose, how to access the prompt, how to submit it. And so that's what our faculty use to provide us with their consideration for admission.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then I know we're getting close to time, so I'll take Oliver. And I do want to say, of course, we want to make sure every question gets answered. So please send me your questions via email, nursing@fullerton.edu. Again, I look at that website, or sorry, our email every day throughout the day. So our goal is to make sure that you are understanding the process. And then also, I'll give you my direct line. You can always give me a call if you'd like. So that is 657-278-3376. I will say though, I do highly recommend sending email instead. That way I can answer quicker. And then also you can refer back to your question if needed and my answer if needed. So Oliver, last question. How can I help you?
Yeah, hey, thank you. Thank you. A lot of good information. I have a question about the curriculum for the accelerated BSN.
Sure.
At least the first year looks
Mhm.
like a normal, like a full load.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about the structure of the courses? Is this like one day a week, multiple days a week, every day of the week? I'm trying to gauge
Oh.
like, is it possible to complete with while working?
Yeah, of course, that is a really good question, and honestly, a good question for all of our pathways here. That first semester is pretty heavy unit wise, right? And so typically what we recommend for any student, especially on their first semester, is if you can limit the amount of hours or maybe not work that semester, that is preferred. However, we get it, that may not necessarily be a possibility. So our recommendation is if you could be a part-time employee during that time, that might be a lot easier to navigate. However, if you have to be a full-time employee, okay, we can try to work that out. You really do have to be attentive of your schedule, make sure that you're organized and kind of communicating not only with your faculty but your peers and your advisor. So it is possible. We've had our students work throughout the program. Um, as you've seen on that curriculum page, there's less units as you go throughout, so more of a possibility to increase your workload. But again, we have had students go through the process of being employed and working on their nursing degree. As far as classes go, you'll typically be, it depends on the semester, but you'll typically be in class about 2 days of the week, and then also in lab 1 to 2 days, depending on the semester. Um, Classes are offered during the day, so sometimes you'll have back-to-back lectures. On your lab day or your clinical day, that's the only thing that's happening. So you might have to get a bit creative with your work schedule. But again, we have had students work and go through our program successfully.
Very quick question. Will this session be recorded, recording shared with us?
Yes, I think it was in a chat here, Vince.
I might have missed it, sorry.
There's a YouTube page, so I think we'll be uploading that, I think, next week. So
Perfect, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you all so much. Appreciate you being here. For those of you that might have additional questions, again, please send us an email to nursing@fullerton.edu. And have a great rest of your evening. Hopefully we'll see your application soon.
Thank you.